Hey, honey, it's you again.
Hi.
It's you again.
Yes, it's me again. I hope you're
Oh,
not
wow.
tired of
Okay.
me.
I am delighted by your presence as usual. Okay.
Same,
Um,
same here.
yeah, cool. So today we're going to talk about something extremely interesting, and that is
Yes.
the science of relationships. And whether there is some science behind relationships, but not any kind of relationships, family relationships, but especially romantic relationships, dating, the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And what do you think of the topic? Do you think it could be an interesting one?
Of course. I mean, I think that everyone finds this topic interesting. Even if people hate talking about this topic, I think they still find it interesting. So yeah, I mean, it's a relevant part of being a human being, like
Yeah.
an innate part, right? So I think everyone loves talking about it, even if they say they hate talking about it. I think they love talking about it. So yeah.
Yeah, from my experience, actually. So you know that in the language school, or as a teacher of English, you have to kind of cover different topics. You know, you have to, the syllabus, the curriculum has different topics that you have to cover with your students. And there's a couple of topics that you as a teacher, or I personally kind of like have some sort, I can relate to, have some kind of inclination towards.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like music, you know, I'm a big fan of
Yeah,
music.
for sure. Topics that you personally find more intriguing.
Yeah, but there's like some of those topics, like, I don't know, like art or music, some of the students might be might be underwhelmed by those, but I can assure that absolutely no one is indifferent when we talk about relationships.
Exactly.
That is a winner. Okay,
almost everyone gets pretty heated. Everyone has pretty strong opinions or personal experiences, anecdotes. Yeah.
And especially if you don't shun the difficult questions and you ask questions that it's like, wow, I had never thought about this way.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, and just, you know, something that I tend to do with my students, Hanny, we are both teachers, with my students, sometimes instead of just kind of directly jumping and, you know, kind of like starting with the topic, with no preamble, I include some kind of, or we kind of warm up with something that might get them to talk, to get them to speak, and something that might have been kind of like up to date, or some recent news story. And so I'm going to ask you, okay, of course, I think, if you guys, you know, if you haven't been, you know, in the moon or whatever, okay, you might have, you know, heard of the Academy Awards ceremony, infamous incident, okay? So we're going to watch it. I'm going to ask you what you think, what you personally think about this, okay?
Sure, yeah.
A second. Okay, here. Yes, I'm going to share a screen.
All right.
Of course, I am referring to this. Okay, so we all have seen this, you know, so far, you know.
Oh, wow. Will Smith rock at the 2022 Oscars, making a joke about Jada Pinkett's hair.
Okay, that's enough. Okay, I don't want to.
That's the relevant part.
Yeah, that's the relevant part. I don't want to indulge or condone violence by any means. Okay,
so of course not. Yeah.
But what do you think of this reaction? Okay, because apparently he got heated up because of like some joke that Chris Rock made about you know, Will Smith's wife kind of like going bald or something. And
something like that. Well, at first when I heard about it, I thought, whoa, Chris Rock must have said something like unimaginably terrible, unforgivable, you know, because what could
trigger that?
Such a response from Will Smith, who I have always loved. I mean, I grew up watching The Fresh Prince. He was kind of like an actor that I always thought was grounded. Like, what could possibly elicit this reaction from him? And then I watched the video. I was trying to get the whole context, but there was no more context. Like, from what I've seen, it wasn't even, I mean, it was barely a joke. It was like just a comment. And from what I know about G.I. Jane, it's like a badass female character. So I didn't understand how this was viewed as an insult, but then I saw, like, then they showed Will Smith was laughing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Jada Smith was not happy. So I suppose, like, from that moment where they showed Jada Smith not being happy, and between when Will Smith punched Chris Rock, some exchange between Will Smith and Jada Smith must have taken place that caused him to run up to the stage and freaking, can I say a swear word? Yes, I can, right? Bitch slap Chris Rock.
Yeah.
And what I think of it, I think the whole thing is silly. I don't understand why Will Smith did it. Like, what could possibly have caused him to do it? I don't think it warranted it. I think Chris Rock, like, it wasn't even a funny joke. It wasn't an insult. But again, like, some people were saying, well, Jada Smith, you know, the hair topic is a sensitive topic for her. So, but are all comedians going to be slapped now for making distasteful
that is a thing.
Jokes? That's what comedy is. I don't know. I hope not. I hope you're not going to keep seeing clips of people going up to the stage and punching comedians. So yeah, the summary of my opinion is it's completely stupid. I don't understand why Will Smith did it, and I don't think that Chris Rock deserved to be slapped. Even if he said some horrendous joke, I don't think he deserved to be slapped like that.
I don't think it was that horrendous, okay? But
it wasn't.
Yeah, it was kind of like, you know, it might hit, you know, I don't know, like, I mean, that's comedy, okay? And sometimes comedy has this kind of like, you know, dark, black, you know, side to it. But I don't think it was even offensive. No. And the things like, do you think you're going to like, you know, going forward, you're going to like, you know, Will Smith less because of this?
I mean, I would have to know his motivation for doing that.
I have my theory, okay? Because like I was speaking to some people, like some students, and some say, okay, I think that is set up, okay? I don't think it's set up. I don't think it's set up.
I don't think so.
I don't think it's set up because, like, as you said, the first reaction is that he was like, he actually found the joke funny at the beginning. He was laughing. But I think I think my suspicion is like his wife gave him the look.
Yeah.
Like the look, you know, it's like, you know, so and it looks like, I don't know, like that sounds kind of like you know, archaic or something, but it looks like she's definitely wearing the pants.
Wearing the pants
in that relationship. I mean, I don't know. Okay, I think that, you know, given that we're gonna speak about relationships, I think that he is trapped in a very troubled, messed up relationship, you know?
Right. I don't know much about the Will Smith, Jada Smith relationship, but from what I've heard, it's been toxic for a long time. And I feel like it must have been some kind of reaction to either something Jada said or some insecurity that Will Smith felt at that moment, and he just had to prove his manliness or something by punching Chris Rock. I don't know. It must have been some, you know, internal trigger that caused him to do it. Would I forgive him? It's not my place to forgive him. I can separate art from artists most of the time, so I'll probably still be a fan of his because I've liked him for a long time. And you know, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. I think he apologized, probably because, you know, he got so much backlash that to save his ass, he had to apologize. But you know, everybody has their weak moments. Everybody makes mistakes. I think it can be forgiven.
Yeah, and one thing is sure, okay, is like it said something about the you know, the Academy Award ceremonies, that this is going to be like the most memorable moment in, say, the last 5 or 10, you know, like years. And
I mean, the fact that Will Smith won an Oscar, like nobody's talking about that.
The guy.
Nobody's talking about the fact that he won an Oscar, but he's talking about the fact that he punched Chris Rock.
Yeah, and nobody, I mean, I don't even know like the name of the Oscar-winning movie.
No, I have never heard of the movie. You know, like that. I mean, it's too bad. I think it's quite sad that he's gonna be remembered probably for this moment. Like it's gonna be his legacy.
Oh gosh.
You know,
gosh.
It's too bad. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so with that being said, guys, okay, today we're gonna talk about relationships. So I'm going just to share the screen with you. This is the name of the unit, okay, we're going to discuss. It's called Love in the Time of Newspeak, okay. Newspeak, the explanation to this is that sometimes in this modern age, for the new buys like myself, it is complicated just to get your head around, okay. So many new terms and terminology and words, and you know, so for the uninitiated like myself, there's so much like I mean, we have to do a lot of catching up actually when it comes to all this new jargon.
Sure. For me too, perhaps.
I think for me, like, because like
for both of us.
I'm a digital immigrant, so, and I don't know, like, I don't know much about Tinder or apps of that ilk. So I don't know. I'm honestly, I have my own opinions and experiences about dating, but I think I have a lot of stuff to learn. Okay.
Sure.
And so the first part is actually talking about the what we call the game. Okay, the game is named after a book of the same name. It's called The Game, and it's because it actually, that book implies that there is some sort of trick of science or things you can actually learn, like a skill that you can hone and master in the art of attraction, seduction, hooking up, especially from men to women. I'm not sure if that's a myth, that's kind of like pure marketing BS, or there is some truth about it. Okay, so with that, we're going to try to disclose that. Okay, I'm going to try to get you disclose that from your perspective, Hanny.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So the main thing is like, so I want to ask you from your experience, Hanny, not from your experience as being dating, whatever, from your experience as your knowledge of the world.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is like, we sometimes we find terms like S&V, which stands for sexual market value. I have to say that term was that concept was completely new for me. Is when people like refer to a man or a woman, okay, or he's a 5, she's a 7, whatever. Okay, so like they kind of rate them from 0, which means like extremely worthless in the sexual marketplace, to 10, which is kind of like unattainable, I guess, godly, unattainable,
right. And I guess because this term is new for me, although maybe like the concept sounds familiar, but I'm guessing they calculate multiple aspects into that number, right? It's not just a physical appearance. It's like
no, of course not. Of course not. Of course,
okay.
I think that many factors are taken into consideration. So that's what I want to, because like from my naivete, like many years ago, I thought it was like the reason. I mean, I haven't really been an expert at all, okay, in the world of, or in the field of dating.
Sure. Neither have I. Just
no,
for the record.
that is like I've had my share of relationships, of course, okay, but it was a question of like going and just hitting off with the person, like it's kind of understanding that you attracted each other, and that was fine. But apparently, and after reading some books, namely The Game, The Art of Seduction, The Evolution of Desire, there is a kind of like science and evolutionary psychology background to it.
For sure.
Okay? So the thing is like, so in my innocence, in my naivety, I thought that for a guy, if a guy likes a girl and wants to like ask her out or whatever, that it would be nice. I mean, it would be enough just to be a nice guy. You be yourself. You're a nice guy. Ask the girl out, and things will. If you're a nice guy, you treat her well, and you're kind, you're probably gonna be fine. And I think that is not enough. So I think that there's more factors like coming into play.
For sure, right? Yeah. It's not enough to be nice.
Yeah. So
for girls as well, it's not enough. I would say for both sexes.
Do you think? I mean, there's some concept like there's like a term or concept called hypergamy, which says that it's usually the girls who do the choosing. Okay.
Yeah. Usually... Okay. So my take on this is always that girls do the choosing when it comes to choosing sexual partners, whereas guys do the choosing when it comes to commitment to relationship.
Wow, that is so honestly,
that's my opinion. Maybe you want,
and I think you've got a point there.
Yeah. What do you think about that?
What do you think about that? I think you're right. Okay, and so I'm gonna tell you again, not from my experience. I have some experience, but I have done some reading, and because I honestly been really into any kind of like topic having to do with psychology, and I like I really like kind of like delving into the science of things, and especially me too. Relationships, and so I have done some reading on the topic, and apparently I think that is true. Okay, it is. Apparently, this concept, the Pareto principle, or the 20-80 or 80-20 rule,
yeah,
and apparently, and after like there's some studies, okay, there's some research on dating apps, and it says that that 80% of the women in dating apps are going to be competing for 20% of the guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas like,
I believe, or even less. I would say even less than 20%.
Yeah. Whereas like the remaining 80 or 85% of the guys are going to compete, okay, for the bottom of the barrel, you know, kind of like.
Yeah.
And so that makes me think that, yes, okay, girls can be really choosy when it comes to selecting the guy that they can either, I mean, they can have, I don't know, they can date or, you know, offer to have sex with. But when it comes to securing and like, you know, starting, I would say, more committed relationship, there's, it looks like the guys who have, whom the girls have chosen are the guys who are in a position to be choosy or to have more variety. Okay, so it is for some men who see themselves in that kind of privileged position. It's hard to, you know, it's hard to give away that variety, I guess. Okay, so
they don't want to settle, you know, because they know they can get more.
It's hard. I mean, I don't want to sound like, you know, I know, like archaic or anything, but it looks like, you know, it looks like there's some sort of biological, you know, explanation to that. Okay, I don't know, like I don't want to sound like, because I understand that things and
well, there are some like internal, maybe subconscious mechanisms. I do believe it comes from evolutionary biological mechanisms. Yeah, perhaps we're not consciously aware of it, but I think it drives our actions for sure.
I think so. Like, you know, and for example, like the guy, I mean the guys who many of the girls compete, you know, for, again, are the guys who are gonna have like a lot of girls competing for them. So for a man, for a male whose biological imperatives like to spread their genes, I guess. Okay, it's hard just to say to renounce, okay, to give away variety, and for you know, like just to secure or to commit to a relationship.
So that's exactly what, you know, why I say that guys are, or they're allowed to be selective when it comes to relationship partners, commitment.
Like the privileged few, the chosen few.
The chosen 5%, whatever it may be.
Okay. So that is interesting. Okay. So in your view, in your perspective, Hanny, what makes like those you know, what kind of attributes do those like those who belong to that privileged few must possess? Okay. Like, because for example, I mean, if it's not enough for a guy just to be nice and to be a good person and to be kind and to be themselves, okay, so I'm pretty sure that this can be broken down into some different attributes, that the more attributes you possess, the more, I don't know, the more likely you're gonna succeed, okay. So for example, I don't know, like things like, because like I said, some people, this question says, some people seem pretty talented when it comes to hooking up with those they find attractive, i.e. they have good game, they're good game players, they are pickup artists, or just like they are skilled in that you know, in that, you know, domain. So if you like, if you want to talk about someone else, do you know anyone, a girl or a guy, is like, wow, that, you know, she or he's very talented, and if that is the case, what do you think is their secret?
I'm trying to think. I don't know, like I know that some people think of dating as a game, but it's quite difficult for me to think about it that way, because when I'm dating someone, or like my experience with guys I've dated, or like stories that I've heard from my girl and guy friends, I don't think that, I mean, some people talk about it like a game. Oh, like you got to make the right move, or you got to time it just right, or you got to say just the right thing. But to be honest with you, I think that it really, I mean, maybe there are some rules. I don't believe them. I don't play by them. I think that if you meet someone and you feel that there is a connection, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter when you say it. It doesn't matter how you say it. It doesn't matter anything you do, as long as there's attraction there and connection there. You could act a fool. You can say whatever you want, and if that person is attracted to you first physically and then to your personality, I think you can do no wrong. So to be honest with you, I know like there are people who try to teach men mostly, but sure, women, I'm sure there are people for women who teach them what they should do or what they shouldn't do. Maybe there's a little bit of truth to what they teach, but I really do think that it comes down to physical attraction, and later on, like, well, sexual attraction as well, and then personality. And if you're attracted to that person in all senses of the word, I really do believe that they don't need any game. They don't need any pickup lines. Just be yourself and people will like you. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you agree with that, or do you really do?
I do. Okay. So and I am reminded of this of an analogy of, for example, in most of the I don't know, like most of science domains or fields. I'm thinking specifically of fitness and nutrition, which I'm interested in, and they have this kind of like concept of the pyramids, okay, like pyramids, okay, and so the base of the pyramids, like the fundamentals, okay, and so the more the further up you go, up to the peak, okay, top of the pyramid, it is like a minuscule, okay, like triangle, which means that those are the more irrelevant, okay, aspects. Okay? So for example, in terms of nutrition would be energy balance, and then you have macronutrients, you have micronutrients, and at the top of the pyramid, which means like the most irrelevant factor, would be supplements. Okay, so I like to think I think you're right, and so that kind of like the game or tactics or tricks would be just like the top of the pyramid, but meaning that is the most insignificant. If you have like everything else kind of like, if you have like really master, or if everything else is in check, so that might move the needle, or might work, that might be some extra bonus. Okay,
sure, the cherry on top,
that is it. Okay, and so the things like, yes, so we agreed that, well, even though the game or having like some sense of humor, or knowing when to say the right word or when to make the right move, is not like the most relevant aspect, but it is kind of, it might be relevant, or it might I don't know.
It might be relevant to some people more than others.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you are lacking some of the previous, I would say, foundation.
Right.
But for example, so you're saying, okay, so what are the traits or attributes that you think matter? So for example, when it comes to physical attraction or physical attractiveness, do you think that there's this saying like the beauty is in the eye of the beholder? Do you think that is is a cliche, or is
No, I don't think it's a cliche. I know for sure it isn't, because I mean, I don't know if it's true with men, but like with women, if we're talking about someone we're dating, we're gonna show our friends a photo, and there have been many times where a friend who said like, oh my god, this guy's so hot, so attractive, and then she shows me a picture and I'm like,
really?
like, not that they're ugly or anything, but like I wouldn't find them attractive, but obviously my friend finds them very attractive. So I think there's a lot of truth to beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Of course, there's also something called like objectively attractive, where like 95% of people would objectively find you attractive. But I think when it comes to most people, all of us have like different types or different looks that we find attractive that maybe other people will think like, that I don't understand. What do you see in that person? So yes, I do think that beauty is definitely in the eye of the beholder.
Okay.
For sure. So, do you not think so?
Well, and again, I'm sometimes like, I want to give my own personal, answer, but it's hard for me to dissociate from all the reading I have done, and sometimes
of course no, but that's valuable input. Please tell me.
I don't know, like from my, like, science says, okay, that even though like beauty might be in the eye of the beholder, that might be subject to some sort of subjectivity and personal, I don't know, like preferences. Those in general, men and women are going to be attracted to traits which are heavily governed by their biological their biology. Okay, so for example, women, guys, men are usually attracted to women who kind of give signs of fertility. Okay, so that's why they usually like younger girls. And sure. and so when we talk about for example, one of the most remarkable like signs of beauty of women for a man is the hip to waist ratio. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that is true, even though some guys might like more skinny girls, more curvy girls. Mm-hmm. That is that is a sign of attraction. Okay, that is it's hardest to circumvent.
Go ahead. Yeah.
And the same for guys, apparently. Okay, so girls are usually, okay, even though there's some exceptions, and some girls like bigger guys, but more skinny guys, whatever. But if a guy shows has like or looks like it could protect a girl, I know it sounds kind of like probably condescending or something, but if it's like a strong or masculine, athletic guy, that's going to, I don't know, that apparently is a sign of attraction. Or
no, so okay, yeah, so I mean, of course there are like general guidelines that may guide attraction, like, oh, if I see a guy who looks more athletic or more muscular, of course, like I'll find it attractive just inherently as like a body type. I think most girls would. But I guess when I was thinking of beauty being in the eye of the beholder, I was thinking of the more like minute detail. Yeah, for me, faces are more important. So maybe that's my bias speaking, that the body type, as long as it's like healthy, I honestly couldn't give a crap about it. So I guess faces to me, which have more minuscule fine details, to me, I think that that's where beauty is in the eye of the beholder really comes to play, because there's so many different variations of faces, and people will find different features different. But yes, I agree. When it comes to like body types, I totally agree that there's certain body types that women find attractive on men, and then men find certain body types attractive on women. I'm sure it is partly because of biological mechanisms or signals of fertility, also of health, right? If we see people who are more overweight, even if we don't think it consciously, I'm sure that our brain tells us, oh, that's a signal that perhaps that person is not a good mate because they might not be healthy, things like that. I'm sure those things come into play a lot. But yeah, I was coming more from the point of view of people's like individual features, their facial features and things like that. Yeah. And I guess that, that in itself, I think is quite interesting, because women, I think, tend to focus more on the smaller details, whereas men are like very like big picture visual, like, oh, big boobs, big booty, I like, that's, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know, like our facial features. Well, okay, what do you notice first? Or what do you take into account more when you?
Of course, like I think I'm much like you in that sense. Okay, for example, so long as someone's like is kind of healthy, or exercise a bit, or does take care of themselves, that is gonna be relatively taken for granted. So taken care of. I'm saying that so long as the person like takes care of herself, you can expect that the person, as you say, so long as they look healthy. So of course, one of the first things that what really kind of like makes a huge difference, the face. Okay, the face. Okay, that is like what makes
you're speaking of women now, like
I'm speaking of women, of course, like
okay.
I'm straight, so that's like
me too. I'm very straight. Yes.
So the thing is like you the first thing you might notice, so long as the body shape or the body like size, whatever, it's kind of like, I don't know. I like talking about normal because like that might offend some people. Like, so long as that
average or
average or healthy, healthy looking. Okay.
Yeah.
Healthy looking. Okay. It is the face which gives this person their sense of uniqueness. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, and eyes, facial features. Okay, that's what that's like our faces tend to be more unique than like like kind of like just trying to seek like, I mean, most people that go to gyms or whatever, of so long as they exercise, they can be much more nitpicking about themselves than about the rest. That is, for example, one person might be one person like exercising might want to get X or Y type of body, but for the majority of the people, so long as they are healthy, they're not going to be as kind of meticulous as they are about themselves.
Yeah.
So it's basically the face that makes you turn your head up, like it's a head turner.
And I mean, speaking of health, I think that a person's face can also reveal a lot. So like if you're talking about biological signals, I think skin, eyes, I mean, that reveals a lot about how a person might take care of themselves. So like still like faces, in addition to being aesthetically pleasing, I think they could also reveal some of that health information that we subconsciously look for.
Okay. And so I'm gonna ask you, like, in this sense, I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay, what if a guy, for example, I'm not super well versed, I'm not well versed at all on Tinder app or dating apps such as Tinder or anything like that. Okay, but I guess that what happens? Okay, I mean, is there a chance for the guy has not been endowed with the best facial features? Like, for example, what if a person is ugly? What if a person that is not like handsome by most standards? Okay, so what should we? Are they hopeless? Are they doomed?
So I think, first of all, I think that Tinder or all of these dating apps, they're so brutal for many reasons, but I think one of those is that some people just don't translate well in photos. They're just not photogenic. And a lot of men just don't know how to get their picture taken. Like women are very well versed in taking selfies, posing for photos in general, I mean, as a general rule. Whereas men, they just don't. They don't usually know how to take a good photo, or they don't have any good photos of themselves. So like when they put photos on the apps, it might be like a really bad photo and it's not actually showing how a person might look. So sure, like maybe a guy doesn't look that good in his Tinder photos. I think that if those are the pictures that he puts on the app, he's gonna have pretty bad luck getting matches. But that's the unfortunate thing, because if you met the same guy in real life, perhaps you think he was great looking,
But what if the guy is actually and objectively not that good looking? It's like that person has not been kind of like gifted with the best facial features, and they are, I mean, like that's something you cannot change, okay, unless you undergo plastic surgery, which I don't recommend that you take like Botox or anything. I don't think that's I mean, that you might end up looking like a monster or like like an emotionally expressionless robot. And so the things like can this person like do anything about that? Okay, it's like, can they overcome that by investing on the other things they can actually improve, like their personality, their body type, their sense of humor?
Yes. So of course, like, if you are born not being typically or objectively attractive, of course you're coming in with like a disadvantage. But I do think that many times, even if a guy, like on a scale of 0 to 10 of attractiveness, even if a guy is like a 0, I think that, and I don't think there are really any zeros, maybe, but I think that if that guy or girl, because there are, girls can be not attractive as well. For some reason, like men always think that only men can be unattractive. But let's say guy or girl, if they're like on the lowest end of the scale of attractiveness, I think that if they invest in their hygiene, if they invest in improving aspects of their personality,
attire,
for sure. I mean, clothes can do a lot for a person, hair, whatever, like if you're a guy, take care of your facial hair. Just little details can like increase your number by, I don't know, 3 or 4 times at least. And I think, I mean, so I don't think that anyone is really doomed when it comes to like the dating game. Of course, it's much more difficult for some people than other people. But I think that if you really work on those other aspects of the pyramid, as you mentioned, the more relevant aspects, I think that there's always going to be someone there for you. I really do believe that everyone has someone
yeah,
that
so
will find them attractive.
I completely agree. Okay, and again, that there's like we are only discussing the, I would say, the physical or you know, kind of like the visual aspects. Okay, so but you can also work on your personality, on
no, yeah, I
you can educate yourself, have a nice conversation, and sense of humor, and you know, like there's like, I mean, the history is packed, okay, with you know, like lots of really ugly seducers who are, you know, like, yeah, honestly, like many of them, okay, who are like extremely intelligent, smart, educated, charming. I don't know, like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that being well-spoken, being intelligent, being a good sense of humor can do wonders. Like,
what about status, honey?
Like money.
Money, yes. Money and status, okay?
To me, it doesn't make a difference. I know to a lot of people it does. I mean, of course, like, I would need a man to make some money. Like, I don't want to support him completely. But to me, money is not such a huge factor. I'm not attracted to people of high status. Like, no, at least not because of their high status. They might be a bonus, but I would never be attracted to someone only because they have a lot of money. I know some people are, I guess, but of course, like, I think it makes a difference. I'm sure that if you're a guy who's not so attractive or doesn't even have a good personality, but you're rich, yeah, I'm sure that there are
have something good for you,
flocking to your company. It's a different story of whether you'll like find real companionship, but I think you'll be able to find people to sleep with you or to date you or whatever. Yeah, so I think that status could definitely be a differentiating factor, let's say, for some people. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, and when you mention like that they're like there shouldn't be such a thing as doomed people when it comes to actually finding. I agree with you. Okay, and I'm gonna say something which might you know, be a bit triggering for some people probably, but it is that no one is, I mean, if someone seems doomed, like, you know, the concept of incel, okay, incel stands for involuntary celibate. And it means like those people, especially guys, okay, who are who seem to have to find no one to have a relationship with, okay, so even if they sell for the most unattractive women or whatever, okay, they would never, okay, not even these women are going to reciprocate, okay, and it looks like it's something that, well, you it's like the cards you've been given, okay. I don't think that is true, okay. I think that everyone can virtually improve their likelihood of finding someone to have a relationship with, okay, but you have to do the work, okay. That is a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that having like incels are, I think, a perfect example of having the worst kind of attitude, because I'm sure that incels, like, I'm sure that a lot of them are physically fine looking, you know. It's their personality and their attitude towards women and towards dating that even if they were like a 10 out of 10 and they approached a woman with that kind of attitude, a woman would find them creepy and off-putting. So she wouldn't reject them because they weren't attractive. She'd reject them because of their horrible attitude, you know. So I think if they improved on that, it would make a world of difference. They wouldn't be incels.
And I think that kind of like feeds on itself, okay. Sometimes it's kind of like, you know, really restrained or creepy personality makes them kind of like spiteful towards women, and that kind of just feeds on itself, okay. And they become more kind of like self-centered and, you know, and isolated, okay. They start like, you know, like kind of,
they join these like isolated communities, right?
Yeah, the MGTOW, okay, like like, you know, they basically check out from like relationships, okay. They start like playing video games, watching porn, whatever, and you know, all kind of creepy stuff. And again, and I think that the things like that path is kind of easy to pursue if you don't work on yourself. Like, it's like, because sometimes if, you know, because I've had this conversation with people, okay, and I'm saying, sometimes I think, okay, I say, okay, your friend X, okay, a girl, if she took care of herself, okay, she would have more. I mean, she basically would meet a nice guy. Yeah, but what is the problem? She probably doesn't want to meet anyone, okay? She's kind of like independent, or she doesn't really need anyone, okay? It's kind of, stop, okay? Like, I understand that no one actually needs, okay, anyone. But it is nice to know that if you would like just to meet someone, and you have the chance, okay, you have the chances to do it, okay.
Yeah.
But if you kind of like try to convince yourself, like, yeah, I don't need anyone, I just like, I am asexual, whatever. It's just kind of like convincing yourself to not do the work, to not go out there, improve your personality, improve your sense of humor, go talk, socialize, okay, probably take care of yourself. I mean, because I don't know, like I don't buy that kind of, I don't buy into that narrative at all. Like,
no, I don't either. I don't like anyone that has a defeatist attitude about anything. You know, I mean, like we talked about it in the last video about learned helplessness, right?
That's
if you feel like you're doomed or you're hopeless, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy in the sense that you're going to act in a way that like confirms your beliefs about yourself and other people, and in that sense you'll end up exactly where you said you will end up, not because of other people but because of how you approach the situation, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and I don't know, like it's for me, it is kind of sad, okay. It is
it's really sad. It's really freaking sad.
In my perspective, okay, like I have this attitude about relationships, okay. I think a person needs to put themselves in the position that they don't have to settle for people or stuff or attitudes that they don't want to. I mean, and so they are ready to walk out of a relationship if that is like, somehow like, being toxic, or if they have to put up with demands that they don't feel happy about. But at the same time, you don't have to be cynical, okay? You have to, you don't have to be cynical and isolate yourself, okay? Because because of fear of rejection, or because you don't want to, you have no inclination to improve, towards improving yourself, okay? It's like at the same time, you don't have to be chained to a relationship that it's making you unhappy. You need to have the power and the autonomy to walk out of that relationship, okay, at any time when that is kind of like being life depriving. But at the same time, you don't have to be afraid, okay. And you have to, it's the best position is like to be in a position of in a place where you can actually choose where you want to be. It's like where you want to, you don't have to settle for the same job, for the first job you're offered. If you're unhappy, you walk away from that job.
Yeah. But no, I mean, that definitely takes practice as well. I mean, in my experience, and I'm guilty of it myself, like I've been in toxic situations before, but even more so, like it's the, I don't know if you want to call it trauma, but like I suppose there are different degrees of trauma, but it's like bad experiences will affect the way that you treat the next experiences. Like they will poison the well for the next experience. So if you've had,
it's a great term, to poison the well.
Right? Yeah. I know, it's really good. So if you had a really toxic, bad relationship once, it's going to like just color your perception of every relationship if you let it. I mean,
if you let it, okay.
It's going to color your perception of every new relationship you enter. You're going to view the other person as wanting to cause you harm, as toxic, even if they're not it. And again, self-fulfilling prophecy. If you view your partner as toxic and wanting to sabotage the relationship, you're going to look for little details that confirm your perception, and eventually you'll end up in a toxic relationship because of your actions. Then your partner will react in the same way, and it will end up being a toxic relationship. And I've been there multiple times, and it's a difficult cycle to get out of. But of course, like with anything else, almost with anything else, it's a lesson that you learn with time, with practice, with therapy, where you gotta like get yourself out of the mindset of viewing everything from your past experiences.
Absolutely.
You have to approach every experience with fresh eyes,
so
untainted minds, as hard as that is, but you really have to try.
You need to wipe the slate clean.
Yes. And it is hard. I get why so many people, I mean, I don't know if, I guess it's always been the case, but with modern dating, when it comes to dating apps and meeting people casually and then trying to make it more serious, it seems like everyone is damaged. Like everyone is coming into new relationships with baggage. And I think And again, I've been there. I've come into relationships with baggage, and it has affected my relationships, and vice versa with my partners coming in with baggage. And it's like a vicious cycle, because, you know, hurt people. It's like it's never ending, because I think people are just so set on their perceptions of things, and they don't want to be wrong. So if they think that they're always going to be with toxic partners, or they're like bound to end up in a loveless relationship, whatever, it's going to end up that way, because they just have that set perception that they're not willing to like negotiate on, or view you as a new person. Like, I'm not your ex, I'm a new person, you know.
And at the same time, people should, you know, should not be afraid of undergoing some introspection. Okay. Like,
oh yeah,
sometimes
I wish they weren't. Yeah.
I don't know, we're not talking about people. I mean, it's something I have tried to do myself, like, you know, because otherwise you have this defensive, like, you know, you build this kind of like shield.
Yes.
This kind of shell.
Like a wall.
And it's like, it's not nice. Okay. So, and for example, talking about like walking out of a very toxic and consuming relationship, there's a term like in the manosphere, okay, and they call this type of girl the alpha widowed. Okay.
Oh my God, that sounds scary.
No, it's like that she who has been widowed by an alpha. Like, you know, that's the type of guy that really treats you like dirt, but you somehow find hard just to walk out of the relationship, because like it might be, you know, toxic, but it's kind of intense, so you miss the intensity, whatever, blah 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 blah. It's kind of like
yeah, I don't know what it is. Like, there is something, I mean, it's a whole like psychological thing, but like I suppose that some people, depending on how they grew up, depending on their childhood, adolescence, they really do feel like they may deserve like the manipulation or even abuse that they get. Like, I'm sure that some people allow themselves to be in toxic relationships because maybe they think that's what they deserve. You know, like maybe they don't think that they can find anything better because they're damaged or they can't offer anymore. Like, there's a lot of complex shit that goes into it. And it messes up a lot of people. Yeah, it's horrible, for sure.
It does. Okay, but again, so sometimes you have to approach, like, I think that in many occasions, sorry, the problem or the solution would be to approach, you know, to set aside, okay, emotions for a bit and be more rational.
Yeah, it's hard though. I mean, like, love and hormones do crazy things to your mind, you know?
But the more rational, again, the person who remains like cold, and not cold in the sense of distant and, you know, emotionless, but kind of more rational, that person has the upper hand.
For sure. And I haven't found out how to be the more rational one yet. I don't know if it's because I'm, you know, a woman and I play more on my emotions, and I just tend to really kind of navigate using how I feel, my emotions, more so than my rational thoughts. Like, I kind of go with the flow depending on if it feels right or not, you know? Whereas I feel like maybe because I'm with men, you know, since I'm straight, men tend to think more that way. And I'm not saying women can't think rationally. I think rationally about everything else in my life. But when it comes to relationships, for some reason, I become not irrational, but it's a lot more difficult to focus on rationality. And I tend to focus more on how I feel to like guide what I do. What do you think? I mean, do you think that again, this is like, oh, men are this and women are that, but I think there's truth to this. Do you think that men tend to be more rational, less emotional?
I don't know. Okay, I think men or women, men. I mean, I don't want to generalize. Okay, because
I don't want to.
Like, you know, because like, again, I think it comes down to the individual person and their experiences, their you know, like their background, their past relationships. Okay, family relationships, and everything basically can virtually influence the way you relate, like, and socialize, and have start new relationships with people. Okay, what your attitude towards relationships is. I think the bottom line is that men and women, and I know that sometimes, like, you speaking in terms of men and women might be kind of awkward for some people, but men and women are different in general. Okay, so we're different. I mean, we were kind of like incepted differently. Okay, we are biologically different, and to conclude or to imply, to pretend that there is no kind of like connection between that and the way we behave is delusional. Okay, and so I wouldn't argue. Okay, I wouldn't contradict that. Women are in general and by nature more emotional, or they should be more, they are kind of more emotional because that's what their biological imperative. I'm not saying they are kind of like more naive. No, I'm not saying emotional with a pejorative connotation at all.
Right. No, me neither. I'm not saying that.
And I know like lots of like, but again, that's the cliche. Okay. There's like many outliers. Okay. And there's really, kind of like over or extremely, emotional guys. Okay. Or emotionally incontinent guys, and super kind of like rational and not cold, but really kind of like calm women. In really kind of like,
I agree. I know those, they do exist.
But again, it's something I think it's like I tend to think of all this aspects we tend to perceive as something monolithic and static, as a skill you can master. Okay, so I look back. Well, if I look back, if I could go back in time, I would punch myself for many things I did or I didn't do. Okay, and so sometimes, okay, it takes years and just becoming a more, I would say, rational version of yourself.
Yes.
And I think that can be extremely advantageous for someone. Okay, I agree. Including relationships. Okay, including relationships. Again, so I don't know, like, for example, when it comes to dating or whatever, okay, I don't want to, I know that in talking, like going back to the topic of the game, okay, of this kind of like tricks and tactics and, and shticks and, all the things you can like use just to seduce, okay, this kind of tricks of seduction. I've never really been interested in that. Okay, I know that sometimes that can make a difference when to say the right word, to be fun in the right moment, okay, or to to show that behind that facade, okay, there's a funny personality, there's like someone who's sense of humor, there is someone with ingenuity, okay, and that is fine, okay, that's a bonus.
Yeah, of course.
But again, I think I don't buy. I don't know if there's some sort of like marketing or science. I'm interested. Okay, I am again. So I just I don't know. I want to pursue a path of freedom. So in which again I am free to choose the place, the job that I want to. I mean, what I want to do, the person I want to be with, and to be ready to walk away from that if I'm not happy.
Yeah. I think that's totally reasonable.
For sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, Hanny, it was an absolute pleasure. Okay, of course. So we barely,
scratch the surface.
Scratch the surface. Like, this is an endless topic.
Oh my God, yeah.
There's so much we can like.
So many aspects.
So many aspects. Okay? But for sure, we will resume this topic in another session. Okay, in a different conversation, because it is an extremely fascinating topic. Okay.
Yes, I agree.
So guys, I will see you, and we will see you, Han and I will see you in another episode. Okay, take care.
Bye.